In this video, I'll be breaking down the best e-commerce ad strategy in 2026 and why the approach that worked for the last 2 years is hitting a massive ceiling right now specifically. And after generating well over $7 million for e-commerce brands and making thousands and thousands of ads, I've discovered that the brands that are actually killing it right now, they're not spending the most, they're not testing 8 million ads. They're building their entire strategy around creative that's research first and making the ad second. And that's exactly why I'm making this video, to show you guys the full strategy from the foundation that a lot of brands skip to the formats that are actually converting right now, and most importantly, where AI fits so you can stop guessing and more importantly, start scaling. So let's get right into it. Now, the most common thing that I will see from brands is they'll be like, what's the best ad structure to run? Is it ABO? Is it CBO? I've got this testing ABO. I've got a scaling CBO. I've got one CBO. What's going on? Why is my ROAS? Why is my cost per acquisition going through the roof? And a lot of brands, they blame their media buyer. They blame themselves. They blame their ad account structure, when in all reality, the account structure maybe makes a 20% incremental difference. And especially if you're under $1 million per month, 90% of your time should be focused entirely on creatives and avatars. And so constantly I will have brands coming to me, it's like, we've got a budget, we were doing well in the past, or we had some sort of performance bump for maybe a week and then it fell back down. And consistently, time and time again, these brands, they end up having a creative problem. They're speaking to the same avatar. They're making the same ad with a bunch of different variations. It's not moving the needle forward, because you can have the best budget optimization in the world. You got a min and max on your different ad sets. You got a CBO, you got an ABO, you got 8 different campaigns, scaling campaign, graveyard campaign, which all those things are great, especially multiple 7 figures a month. That stuff does start to matter. But sub multiple 7 figures a month, the principles of what actually matter and it's going to move the needle the most with the least amount of work is going to be focusing entirely on creatives first. Meta's algorithm is smart. Meta knows more than me. Meta knows more than you. And as a result, by focusing on what you give Meta, then therefore Meta can do the most with what they are given, instead of forcing Meta to do a certain media buying structure, cost caps, bid caps, all these different things, because they all work. I've seen so many brands where they're spending and them climbing with their revenue goals completely stop cold in their tracks. And we all trace it back to one specific thing every single time. They stopped focusing on what got them there, which is high quality creatives. Obviously, you want to have a good product, but most brands, especially if you're watching this video, you probably have a decent product, right? So it's like, okay, how do we make the best creatives possible that allow this brand to scale, instead of focusing on, hey, let's worry about the next media buying hack, Andromeda, all this different stuff. The brands that are scaling effortlessly right now, they have a consistent output of different formats and a different diversity for their ad creatives. It starts with the creative, not media buying. And most good quality creatives start somewhere that most brands skip entirely. So let me walk you through that exact process. Now, the number one thing that you should be able to answer in a whim, and ask yourself this right now, if you can't answer this next question in the next 5 seconds, that is a problem and you need to figure this out ASAP. Watch the rest of this video and then right afterwards, go do this immediately right now. The very first thing that you should be focusing on, and the one question you should be asking yourself time and time again, is who is my primary avatar and primary buyer? And you should be able to, off the top of your head, answer what are their problems that they are facing? What other things have they tried before? What other solutions have they tried before? Do they actually know what the root cause of their problem is, or are they misinformed? And more specifically, how does your product look? And more specifically, how does life look when your product starts to work for their customer? What gets easier in your life? And if you can't answer those things, you need to stop what you're doing and figure that out immediately, because as you start to scale, not only are you going to have one main avatar with one main awareness level, with one main problem, it's going to expand more and more and more, because every single script, it needs to have a real emotional pain point, a problem that people need solving. The only time people are pulling out their wallet to buy something, to buy your product, or even just buy anything in general, it's going to make their life easier, but the opposite of that is actually going to be solving a problem. People buy a product to solve a problem that they have. Every single product. Now, skipping the research phase, it might work temporarily. It might work for a month. It might work for 2 months. It might work for 3 months. Different brands are going to hit their cap at different spots in their journey. So some brands, they might have the best product in the world and they can skip some of these steps to maybe $1 million a month, maybe $2 million a month, but at some point it's going to catch up to you, because every single test, every single ad that you launch, you should be learning something, because the brands, they go, oh, this is our winning ad, here's what works. But more importantly, why did the the other 99 ads that you launch not get your cost per acquisition that you're looking for? Why are they not driving the spend that you are looking for? Because brands that end up skipping this research process and really mapping out who is our customer, who is our avatar, who can we speak to, how old are they, what is their skin color, what have they tried before, you're going to be testing stuff without any sort of rhyme or reason. So you need to ask yourself, every single creative that you launch, what is the question that you are trying to learn? And when you start to treat your ad account and your testing ads as literally a scientific process, the whole scaling process becomes substantially easier. So research is the foundation. That's the most important thing. The next decision is, okay, what kind of format should I actually make my creative in? And there's one that consistently outperforms the rest time and time again. Now, every single brand, they have their formats that they rely on. For example, everybody's running UGC. Everybody is running some sort of on-screen text ad. Everybody has a couple different variations. A lot of people just copy the other ad libraries. However, what we are seeing that's working the best right now across a ton of different clients, across a ton of different accounts, is skits. Now, why skits specifically? Before you roll your eyes and say, oh, that doesn't actually convert, wrong, it does if it's done properly. Now, the problem that a lot of people have with skits is they make them too comedy focused. Now, should they be somewhat entertaining? Yes, but what you should actually be doing is making it seem like a real conversation that your customer might have with their husband, with their wife, with their son, with another friend. And when you level down with your customer and really understand what their conversations are sounding like, and you can script and mimic a conversation that maybe they might not have because it's in their head, but they're definitely thinking about it, or they could see themselves, hey, I've actually had that conversation before. That's when skits start to convert, when you start thinking about the social situations that your customers would be in. In this format, I started my whole journey as a TikTok Shop affiliate in 2024, and that's where all of this comes from. I kept seeing all these brands stealing me and my students' creatives. I was like, I'm sick of this. Like, we were scaling so many different brands without even us knowing it. We had so many brands stealing our content. So I said a year ago, all right, let me just launch this actual agency and deliver these ads for brands because clearly there's a massive demand, because these brands, they need these ads. And that's where the whole skit thing started from. If you look at Meta right now, a lot of the top creatives came from formats. If you talk to any top creative strategist, any top agency, one of the number one things that they say in terms of doing research and getting ideas for formats is not Reddit anymore. It's TikTok and organic content, because that's what you should be mimicking, because that's what people are watching. And the problem with a lot of agencies and a lot of brands, when we see, okay, hey, we launched skits and they didn't work, it's like, okay, let's take a deeper dive. Why did they not work? And it's just basically entertainment, or the same thing as a talking head video, roughly put in the form of a skit, and not a real conversation, and thinking about what is the social situation that somebody would be having, what would be happening, where would it be taking place. So for example, if you're having an intimate conversation between a husband and wife, it's probably not going to be in the living room where you got kids hearing. It's probably going to be in the bedroom, and they're going to be whispering, they're going to be talking quietly, and they're going to be thinking about every word they say, as opposed to just rushing through the script. So this is the kind of thing that you need to be thinking about if you're wanting to run skits and have them be a big spender in your ad account. So now that you see why strategy starts with researching your customers and then taking that and applying that to something like a skit style format. Now, if you do want these ad creatives made actually for you, that's entirely what our agency does. We do only organic style creatives, things that are mimicking what your customers are seeing on their feed right now. So if you want to be hands off, we'll handle everything from the creative strategy to the scripting. We have a library of 50 plus trained creators, all different demographics, all different ages. So that way we don't have to do any sort of external sourcing. So if you want all that done for you, you can book a call down below. We've helped so many different brands scale using these organic style formats like skits, like talking head. So you can book a call down below. Now, as a brand, how should you actually approach this testing, especially in 2026 with Andromeda? Now, the biggest needle mover in terms of getting your ad account to the next level is focusing on how do I test wider, and every single ad needs to pack a punch in terms of what you are learning. So yes, you can do variations, and a small portion of what you are doing should be variations. However, the difference from going from 100K a month to 300K a month to 500K a month and taking these big leaps and bounds in a short period of time is really just testing wide, different avatars, different awareness levels, sub-awareness levels that somebody might not have. They might have an inkling of a problem. They might know that they have a problem. The language that you're going to use, speaking to someone who thinks something might be off, but they know something is horribly wrong, the language is going to be vastly different. And the language has to match the awareness level of where your customer is. Because a lot of brands will run into like, oh my gosh, we got a winning ad that's great, we're scaling. But in all reality, when you ask them, hey, why did that that ad win? They'll be like, I don't know. And the easiest way to figure out, hey, why did this ad win, is instead you again go back to your losers and figure out, hey, why didn't this work? And that will oftentimes help you figure out more about your winning ad than trying to just analyze the winning ad in of itself. The goal of testing isn't just to find a winning ad, it's to find a process and really complete the framework, complete the map of who your customer is and why they are buying. And that's what creates effortless scale with me. So testing, it's about learning, it's not about luck. And the last piece that everybody's asking right now is, how does AI fit into this whole process? Now, in terms of AI actually genuinely helping with now in terms of AI helping with e-commerce, yes, you can use AI to make ads. However, in my opinion, the easiest, most efficient way to use AI in your business is for research. Plugging in information. Again, AI is only good as the user and the data that it's given. So for example, one of the easiest ways you can do, especially if your brand has been around for a couple months or even a couple years, whatever that may be, is feed the data on who the customers are and say, hey, here are our customers, here are our data about them. Plug out an entire avatar map. What do they care about? How old are they? Where do they live? What problems do they have? Are they married, unmarried, kids, no kids? And you can really start to put together the picture. You can really start to put together the picture, and not even just using AI for like a copywriting perspective, but just general research and understanding. It's infinitely more powerful than Reddit or any of these other things. Because the point of AI is to make your life easier. It's not supposed to cover up gaps or cover up skills that you don't have, because if you don't have these skills, you better believe AI is not going to be able to fill in the gaps for you. Now that you've seen all the pieces, from research to format to AI to testing, let me put it all back together in a simple to follow playbook. How do all these pieces come together into one strategy that you can actually start to implement? One, it starts with real research into your buyer. You should know your buyer almost better than they know themselves. And that's when you know, okay, I actually have enough pieces and information to start to put together a good script, a good ad creative. And then that research is going to then feed, how do you start the video? So for example, if you're doing a skit creative, how direct should you be? How much should you beat around the bush? This is going to depend upon the awareness levels that you found out in your research, because you have market sophistication and then you also have awareness levels. This exact approach is what we do for every single client that we work with. Like, we will not write a single script until we know specifically what are the 5, 6, 7 avatars that we want to attack, because you can't even begin to write copy until you understand, who are these people? How old are they? Where do they live? What have they tried before? Answering all these questions before you even think about writing a single script, and more specifically, mapping out a whole process in a way that you make sure you're testing things equally. So for example, you don't want to launch 8 ads for Avatar 1 and then 1 ad for Avatar 2 and then 1 ad for Avatar 3. You're like, oh, well, Avatar 1 is getting most of the sales. We're like, yeah, because you made a disproportionate amount of ads for that. Whereas if you split up Avatar 1, Avatar 2, and Avatar 3, you might see that Avatar 3 was actually your best performer and getting you the best cost per acquisition, but you didn't know it because you threw all of your ads testing out Avatar 1. So now that you've seen the best e-commerce ad strategy in 2026, from why most strategies fail to why you need a research-led foundation, to optimizing for the skit style format, to using AI to help amplify your efforts, and then have this constant feedback loop that allows you to test again and again, and actually start building a strategy that doesn't break as you start to scale and doesn't break as you're trying to get to these next levels. So if you do want ad creatives that are actually proven to convert for your brand, you can click the link in the description. We've been doing this for a long time. This is what we eat, sleep, breathe. We do this day in and day out. So if you want these ad creatives handled completely for you, we handle everything from the creative strategy, from the research, to the script writing, to the sourcing of the creators. We have a library of 50 plus trained creators. We hand deliver the ads edited back to you. So that way, all you have to do is post them in your ad account, which lets you focus on what you need to focus on to get the business to the next level. So with that said, I will see everybody in the next video, and the link is in the description if you want to book a call.